G'day everyone, welcome to another edition of EFL TV. I'm Ben Waterworth and we're out of the SEN studios this week and in the EFL offices because we have an exclusive interview with one of the best and most decorated local football players over the past 10 to 15 years. His name is Denine. He's been there and done that with Marcelin, Vermont, Bayswater and now trying his hand at coaching the East Ringwood Football Club. He's a star both on and off the field. He's a genuine nice guy. And I had a bit of a chat to him earlier on this week, talking about footy, about some of his career highlights, about his family, and about that knee injury. Now, in round 7, you suffered an ACL injury, a season-ending ACL injury, possibly career-ending. You did a bit more than an ACL, though. Listen to this. You also ruptured 2 ligaments, suffered 2 bone fractures, some cartilage damage, 3 muscle tears, and a bit of tendon damage as well. And that all happened in the same collision. I suppose what everyone wants to know now is, how is your knee?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. It's actually 4 ligaments.
4?
So 3 ruptured and 1 strained. So, yeah, the surgeon, Cam Norsworthy, I was lucky to get in to see him the following Tuesday, surgery on the Wednesday. Family friend Bernie Crimmins, Hawthorn club doctor for 25 years, sorted it out. So, been really lucky in regard to the people I've had. Had a bit of time off work, which I was fortunate enough to have up my sleeve. So the surgeon went from originally thinking that could be the end to he thought the operation went really well, and there's a chance for a full recovery if I'm going to be silly or game enough. So pretty happy with how it's tracking.
Is this the most significant injury you've ever suffered? Because you've had a pretty bad run with injuries over the years.
No, look, I think the most dangerous was I ruptured my pancreas back in 2003, and that literally nearly killed me the first night in hospital. So I think seriousness, that was the worst, but I was back playing footy in about 12 or 13 weeks, strangely enough. So I think to recuperate from, I don't know how this is going to go, but I think the Achilles will probably still be worse. It was never the same, and I've heard from a few friends that Dr. Cam Norsworthy, my surgeon, did the operation on, who are now back playing, that they feel as strong as ever. So, I mean, none of them are great. I've had, this is my 4th op in 9 years.
Now, of course, what this injury has done is it's forced you to become a non-playing coach, something you're not very used to. What do you prefer, playing coach or non-playing?
Look, with a 1-2 record as just coaching at the moment, you know, I'm a pretty hands-on sort of person. I like to get involved. Anyone that knows me know that, sometimes to my own detriment. But yeah, I find being able to get out there and be involved on field is something I prefer. It's been a good look at the coaching, which is at some stage when I do give it away something that I'd like to continue to pursue. But yeah, for the short term, I'm pretty keen to get the leg right and get back out there.
Now, you played against Vermont in round 1, of course, one of your former teams, and you ran out against them in East Ringwood colours. How did that feel?
Yeah, it's the first time I've had to do that, to play against an old team for points. It was exciting. I was pretty disappointed with our effort and the result in the end. Credit to Vermont, they're a quality outfit and they've knocked us off both times this year. But it was a bit strange. I think I probably went into it a little bit too passively. There's a lot of old friends there who I said hello to, and I think if I was to get the opportunity again, I'd probably be a bit more game face and save the pleasantries till after the game.
Now, you've been coached by a number of coaches over the years, David Banfield and Simon Dalrymple, just to name a couple. Is there anything that those guys had, those coaches had, that you've applied to your own coaching further down the track?
Look, Banner's was very organised and structured, and he was a great team manager at managing the list, putting them together. I had a guy called Nick Burke in the amateurs who was our state coach, who was he was very, very supportive of players and their abilities, and I think dealing with a state team, you got the cream of the crop, so that was probably a different role. Tony Patch, my first ever senior coach, was a great motivational speaker and someone I still admire immensely and have as a real mentor. And then Dally, purely on the coaching, teaching aspect, is probably as good as I've had as a player. So I think those guys all taught me different ways in regard to play and also into my coaching. But the biggest influence probably on my coaching, I think, would be a guy that I haven't worked directly under but with, is Chris Barlow from Vermont. I went straight to KB at the end of 2008 when I took on the coaching job at Bayswater, and had a lot to do with him about how to prepare and what to have organised. And I think purely in regard to my coaching and the way I set things up and the way I try to develop the list, I'd say that he's had a huge impact on me, and I really appreciate his time and his knowledge.
What's your football philosophy as a coach?
Jeepers. Look, I suppose I try to focus very much on accountable, sort of hard contested footy. I I like to coach the way I like to play. I'm very much a person that's come up through the amateur ranks about the whole focus on the team. I mean, being a competition, I know EFL people will dispute this, but certainly at Marseille there wasn't a single dollar that exchanged hands for any of the playing list. So the fact that the guys wanted to be there for the love of the game, and that still burns pretty strongly in me. If payments went out of footy tomorrow, I'd still be involved because I love it, and I think it builds character and it builds relationships. So I think that personal contact with people, the relationships you build, is the most important thing in footy. And to play in a manner that represents that you care about your mates, your teammates, your supporters, you have pride in the jumper, those sorts of things. So I'd like to think that if a team I was coaching was representing me in some way, they'd be pretty hard at the contest. They wouldn't give in. They mightn't necessarily be the prettiest moving or skilled team, but they'd work really hard, and they'd work to play an exciting brand of football, fast moving, accountable, hard tackling, the sort of football that you'd want to go and watch as a spectator. So hopefully, East Ringwood in the next year or two, if I'm still there and they're happy to have me, we'll be able to encompass that.
Now you've won 6 best and fairest, 6 league best and fairest, 3 with the Amos and 3 with the EFL. Out of those 6, is there one that stands out for you?
Oh, look, I think probably my first one in the A grade amateurs. To do it as as a 22-year-old in a team that had never won an A grade flag, I think that probably meant a little bit more to me than the others, and they're all fantastic honours, and I'm not pretending for a second they're not. But to be young and in a group that hadn't done it and be able to lead that, and then for us to go on and win the premiership and me to be able to deliver and have a really good grand final that day, that was probably the most special thing I've ever been a part of. And maybe the fact that also all happened within a week. They have the Monday similar to the Brownlow, so to win that on the Monday and then celebrate the premiership with my teammates that following Sunday, I remember waking up that Monday morning just very, very proud and very happy and quite content with life. So that one probably stands out a little bit to me, as does that premiership. You've
got a great aerobic capacity, you're a sensational tackler, you know how to find the footy, you've got a real appetite for the contest. But what is it you personally think that makes you such a good player?
I think it's pretty simple. It's hard work with someone like me. I think my skills are sound. They're not always the greatest on the field or the best looking, but I think they're pretty good, especially around goal. I've been fairly capable in that regard over time. Hard at the ball, quick hands, those things are all really nice, but I think it's just hard work with me.
Who are some of the best players you've played with and you've played against, Bernie?
Yeah, look, been across, I suppose, both leagues, the Amos and the EFL. Been a lot of good teammates and certainly some great opposition players. Amateurs, Glenn Cox, Andrew Tregendown, Dave Waters. One won an A-grade goal kick and the other 2 won A-grade medals, so really capable players. Trav Ruggett Zavs was a good player. There's a number of really good players in the league across there, but it's probably a while back to actually remember them all. More recently, EFL, best opponent I've ever had, probably no surprise to many, is Craig Anderson. Massive amount of respect for him, the way he plays his game, and had some really good battles with him, so ripping bloke, which helps. Probably the single best player I've ever seen or played with would be Matt Gregg. And I think I realised that in 08 when his worst game became kicking 3 or 4, giving off 4 or 5, leaving to the dead pocket, create space. Just such a complete game, and he's a bloke who could turn in a quarter. I mean, he can stand on your head off 2 steps and then kick it 70. So, Nathan Hanley, Barden, Andrew Smith was a great player. The Cullen boys, Brad Hall. So, I've been really fortunate to have a lot of good teammates. Brent Jane, you see guys now like Luke Vogels, just quality players. Joel Perry at the minute. If he's not team of the year this year, then I'll be amazed. So. Been fortunate to play with and against some really good players, and certainly enjoyed watching them put their trade to work.
Tell us about your dad, because of course he passed away unfortunately about a year ago, and he seemed to have a really big influence on your career.
Yeah, look, I'm one of 8 kids, so I've got 5 brothers. So Dad couldn't get enough of dropping us at the footy. He wasn't a footballer himself, but a passionate Blues supporter, which he instilled into all 8 kids. And yeah, some of my earliest memories of football were him picking me up in the car, ducking into McDonald's for a quick bite to eat with the old "Don't tell your mother" as an 8 or 9-year-old, and he's just very, very even and very level dad. You lose by 10 goals, and don't worry, mate, it's just a it's just a game and you win by 10 goals and, well done, you should be proud of yourself. He was pretty tempered as opposed to Mum, who's probably a little bit more full-on. So they made a good pairing. One of the proudest football days I've got was last year, the morning he died, round 9, 25th of June last year. The way the Bayswater guys lifted, for me and for my family, and to be able to knock off an undefeated Lilydale, it was just one of my most memorable days in footy. And it was pretty special. So, look, he was a great man. Dad, all he really cared about was his family, and he gave me a strong understanding of what the important things in life are. So, just had his 1 year anniversary, and I certainly miss him a lot. But with 8 kids and 16 grandkids, I think he's left his mark.
What have been possibly the biggest influence on your career?
Yeah, look, I mean, Mum and Dad both get him involved in football, and Mum used to work nights and get up on an hour's sleep as a nurse and drop me and my 2 little brothers at junior football and at clinics and things like that. So the 2 of them have been massive. They've barely missed a game that I've played. I think I've played about 250 senior games, and they've certainly been there for north of 200. So it's a real shame not to have him there now for the footy. But I think if I was to get married one day or have kids or any of those things, I think they're the times that you'll sit back and really reflect on how much you miss him. So yeah, it's been a huge impact on my life, as for most guys I'm sure is the same case.
When you sit back at the end of your career and have a look at all the wonderful things that you've achieved, is there one thing that takes the cake? Is there one thing that stands out above any else?
I think, again, the relationships, the people you got to share things with. So, the premierships are the obvious highlights. There's been some nice personal ones. The Marcelin 2001 one, it's the only A-grade flag the club's ever won. And to have been a part of that, someone that a club that I've been associated with since I was 5, 6 years old, watching my brother play cricket down there, is probably the nicest memory. But I think the thing you take out of footy are the relationships. So the people you've met, and that's been the beauty of me having a bit of contact in these 2 leagues, in particular the amateurs and the EFL. That I've made some amazing friends. Probably a couple of foes along the way, but that's all right. But yeah, for me that's a huge part. The people whose lives you become a part of, and in some cases hopefully stay a part of for a long time to come. And there'd be people at every football club I've played with, bump into guys that I haven't seen for 15 years that I played footy with or against in a pub, and you're instant mates again. You sit down, you have a beer, you reminisce, you have a laugh. How's your family? And there are guys, Lukey Matthews at Blackburn, some of the boys at South Croydon, guys in the amateurs, obviously teammates, Vermont, Marcelin, Bayswater. Duncan Moore's over fishing somewhere in Port Lincoln at the minute, and I could bump into him going out for dinner with a bunch of nuns, and it'd probably turn into a pretty crazy night with Dunk. So, and they're the things I think that you take out of football. And if you carry yourself well, and you know that that's the thing that you need to target to take out of footy, then I think you always get back more than you put in.
And I've got to ask this. When you're done, you're not affiliated with any club anymore, is there one team that you've played for or represented in the past that you'll be supporting and going down on a Saturday afternoon to watch?
I don't know that I could call that, mate. For now, where I'm at now, I'm pretty tight with East Ringwood, and they haven't won a flag for a while, and I'd love to see them do that. I've spent the most time footy and cricket and my family at Marcelin, so I'll always see Marcelin as my home club. And I had nothing but success and good times at Vermont.
Well, there you have it. A great chat with Bernie Denine, a fantastic coach, a decorated player, and above all, just a genuine good bloke. We do appreciate his time. Good luck to him and the Roos for the rest of the season. Make sure your radio dials are tuned in to 98.1 Radio Eastern, or your computer is logged on to www.efl.org.au this Saturday afternoon as the EFL media team broadcasts the big Division 1 clash between Knox and Lilydale live from Knox Gardens Reserve. Should be a great clash, with Lilydale coming off a big victory last weekend and Knox out for revenge after they went down to Scoresby. Should be a fantastic contest, with Knox trying to get back into that top 5. So make sure you tune in to EFL Game Day live on Saturday afternoon. That's all we have time for on EFL TV. Make sure you tune in next week, because we'll be back bigger and better than ever.